Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Verne's Misadventures. In this little misadventure, we're going to figure out how we can install our printer to this openSUSE Leap 42.2. I did a little research and figured this out. I've always struggled with this thing, you know. I set up so many Linux setups on so many computers in my home. And it's like, it always stumped me. How do you do this with a wireless printer, right? So I'm going to show you what I've learned, and I hope this will help you out, what I was able to find out. So basically, we're going to need to use a couple of things here. We're going to use a tool called ifconfig, and that's going to figure out our own IP address on our computer. We're also going to use another one called nmap, network map, okay? And that's going to list all of the devices on our network along with their host names and their IP addresses. Now we're going to need that IP address in order to connect the printer, which in my case is a wireless printer, and it is a Canon Pixma MX340. So without further ado, we will jump on into this. So okay, here. Now what I found this little website here. Let me maximize this. It's on itsfos.com. I'll leave the link in the description. So basically, it says this is how you can find other devices on your network, which is going to be important for finding your IP address of your printer. By default, openSUSE Leap does not have nmap installed. Okay, so first thing to do, of course, will be to install nmap. Now, if you've got a Debian-based distribution, this would be the command you'd use: sudo apt-get install nmap. This being openSUSE, you will not use aptitude. You'll be using zypper. So I'll show you how to do that. I can show you how to do it in the terminal, or I'll show you how to do it with YAST. Either way, like I say, mine's already installed. So you use your package manager in openSUSE, which is YAST. You have to put in your password, and you'll go over here to where it says software management. This is what you use to add or remove software, which you probably know, but I'm just, I figure I'd rather give more information you can ignore if you know this than not give enough to a brand new user. So bear with me if I'm telling you things you already know. Alright, so then you would simply look for nmap, nmap, right? And we'll search. And you can see that there's already a check mark on mine, but on yours it probably won't be if you haven't installed it already. So you'll want to check that and then click accept, because there was nothing to do. Mine went ahead and closed. Now I can show you how you can install that with the terminal. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and maximize my terminal and zoom in so that we can see better. You do that by simply pressing Control and plus repeatedly, and that will zoom you in. You can also do it, I believe, up here in the view. Let's see, yeah, you can enlarge the font and shrink the font, and that shows you the keyboard shortcuts there too. So there's a little something extra for you. Alright, so what you would do to install this through the terminal, which is called console if you have the KDE, and I have actually got GNOME and KDE installed on this computer, so I'm using the console just because that's what I pinned. How about that? So let's just go ahead and do this. Sudo zypper install nmap. Boom. Put your password, and of course nmap is already installed on mine, and if it wasn't installed, it would go ahead and install it. All right, so with that all covered, let's go ahead and move on to how to use it. So let's bring the browser back up here so I can show you the next step you're going to do. And it's all described pretty well in the website here, but I'm just kind of showing you how to do it actually. Because there's a couple of caveats you're going to have to use here. You're going to have to change a couple things for your specific use case, okay? So if you look down here to where we skip ahead to where we're going to actually scan, we're going to use nmap. Now you're going to be putting this code here in, right? And this is sudo nmap-sp and then a range of IP addresses, right? So this is going to go from 0 to 24 on this IP address, right? Now what you're going to use ifconfig for is to find out basically what your IP address is, and then go from there. Because see this number right here on this third set from the left, that will vary. Sometimes it's a 0, sometimes it's a 1, and if you don't put the right number in there, it's not going to work for you. So so let me show you how you do this. I'm just going to go ahead and copy, because that's probably what you'll do, rather than try to type it all in, and then we will edit it for our use case, okay? So I'm going to minimize. Alright, first thing we're going to do is run ifconfig. Now you got to do that as either root superuser or just simply put sudo, and then ifconfig. Alright, and there we have it. This is the output from ifconfig. And if you look over here, you'll see where it says eth0, right? And then there's your inet address right there. Now that's a 192.168.0.8. That is my IP address for the computer I'm using at this time. So the important thing to know here is that the third set on my network is a 0. Your network will vary. You'll want to get all these numbers here, basically, and then you'll put those down here in this other command for the nmap. Okay. Well, I don't know why I did that. That was lame. Okay, so I've already copied that on there, so let's see if we didn't lose it. All right, so as it was on theirs, you can see here that they want us to do the sudo nmap, this S capital P, 192.168.1.0, right? Well, as I just explained, mine third set is a 0, so I'm just going to change that to a 0, and everything else could stay the same in my case. Yours may vary, so just make sure you use what you found on the ifconfig output. So there you go, and then we'll go ahead and press enter. Alright, so here's what we got. Here's what we found. Yeah. Boy, that cursor, that scroll wheel on his mouse just goes nuts. Alright, here you go. So here's our output. And it found several running hosts, right? Or several running instances here, active IP addresses, shall we say. Alright, so going back up here, see starting nmap, right at the top. Okay, so you got nmap scan report for this IP address, and then these are the attributes of that IP address. And then it goes on to the next one. And it's important to understand how they're grouped, because you want to use the right IP address for the one, in my case, which is my Canon printer, right? So I know now that I need, this is my IP address of my Canon printer. So if you struggle with memory issues or whatever, you can just write that down. 8.0.2. You can either write it down Or you can simply bring your cursor up here, copy. Okay, so that will conclude our work in the terminal, I do believe. So then the next thing you're going to want to do is press the Windows key. Now this is assuming you're running GNOME. There's a keyboard shortcut here. I'm going to press the Windows key and S, and that'll bring up where I can find my settings. Okay. Otherwise, go through your menu over here, your start menu, right, and find settings in there. Okay, and find the settings manager. And since we already have that up, now we'll just go ahead and bring up printers. Okay, so as you can see, I have no printers installed, right? So step number 1 is to unlock the printers panel. So you're going to want to click on here and then put in your password. Okay, now we'll click on the blue part that says add a printer. Now it's going to want to know where to search for it. So right here is where you're going to put your IP address. So we just paste. Okay, see there it says LPD printer right here? So you're going to click that and click add. Alright, now you're going to want to choose the right driver. So you got to know your model number. Now in my case, I know very well that I have a Canon, okay, and it's a Canon Pixma, so don't jump in there and just look for the MX because you'll be sorely disappointed. So you gotta look for the Pixmas right there, right? And then that's eyes. Let's see if I can grab this. Alright, so that's IP, there's MG. Okay, MG, MP. Okay, so here we are. And Canon Pixma MX340, right? So I select this one. Now, what I've used successfully is the one that says this. It doesn't say simplified. I use this one here. I'm not real sure what the simplified does, but I can tell you what worked for me. And you can use your own judgment if you want to try the simplified. But I would say let's go with what works. And then we can move on to something more pleasant in life. Alright, so select. And there it is. See, it says Canon Pixma MX340. And I can set that as my default printer. And then, let's see. From there, I can go ahead and print a test page. And you probably can hear that if I'm quiet enough. You can probably hear it printing in the background. So there we go. And that's how you install a Canon Pixma MX340 in Linux. I hope you found this video to be helpful. And if you did, I would invite you to like, share, comment, and or subscribe to my channel. Hey, with that, we're out. You all have a good one. Bye-bye.